everyone, and welcome to Gruen. We'll get to the panel in a moment, but first, as this show has gotten older, we've noticed people in ads getting older too. Fast. Master Foods ages you at the dinner table.
Hey, Dad, pass the sauce.
Sauce.
Hey, Dad, could you pass me the sauce? Dad, can you pass the sauce?
Hey, buddy, can you pass Grandpa the sauce, please? Did your mum teach you that trick?
Oh, I'd avoid the sauce and have a tomato, mate, because your grandpa is dying of malnutrition. It's not all bad stage makeup. KFC has a rapidly ageing brunette. OK, that checks out. In my experience, if you eat a bucket of KFC, your life flashes before your eyes. Honda drivers age behind the wheel.
Even as a little kid, you never settled for ordinary. Neither have we.
Ah, still alone because his only hobby is doing donuts in a parking lot. There's a reason if you spell Honda backwards, it's ad, no. And Victor Mowers takes a lifetime to cut your grass.
To the greatest mum and dad, here's to the summers we had, to the smell of freshly cut grass, and to having a blast. Here's to those summer days, the classic plays, leaving home, then coming back grown. Here's to keeping you up to date and being my best mate.
Here's why your dad's your best mate, because you're the sort of dickhead who uses a leaf blower. Yes, advertising is ageing us all, and Aldi is no exception.
Dad, I want to look at this.
Tomato and basil, crushed tomato and basil, diced tomato and basil, crushed tomato and fresh basil, whole tomato and basil, Italian tomato and basil, tomato and basil.
Curry tomato. Dad! Whoa! Where have you been?
Don't waste your life in the sauce aisle. Unlike other supermarkets, Aldi only stocks the best, so you save time and money. That's good different.
The good news is, being Aldi, somewhere in the middle of the store, they're probably selling coffins. Time to welcome our panel from PwC, Russel, Howcroft, and from over there, Todd, Sampson. Joining them from Campaign Edge, Dee Madigan, and from BMF, Christina Aventi. Advertising has always sold us dreams. On January 26th this year, the NBN offered us this one.
We're leaving our generation to join one that's moving us forward.
Where our garage business can go global.
Where knowledge isn't limited by time or space.
And anyone can change the world from anywhere.
So we can keep our big city job without the big city.
A new generation where it's easy to pass on our skills.
Where our crazy ideas become crazy reality.
We're doing things differently, seeing things differently, and we're just getting started. It's time for a new generation. It's time for Gen NBN.
We're just getting started. Then talk to us when you've finished, NBN. Holographic referees, self-driving tractors and giant see-through screens. Christina, what did you make of that ad?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's kind of like there's every cliche from the future in there. It's drones, clones and driverless automobiles. It's crazy. And the thing about it is that it's really urgent. It's like, come on, get on board, but it stresses me out. I'm like, stop the world, I want to get off when I watch that. It's like too much for me. Not that I want to be backward. And it's got that ultimate cliche of the rocket at the end that's heavily branded NBN, which is like, well, it's just too cliched for me, fast-paced. And let's be honest, it's false and misleading advertising because NBN is more Kia Picanto than it is Tesla. So...
I mean, it's very true. They'd fly the rocket up into space, but they wouldn't fly it all the way to the planet, just to the node.
Yeah.
For a moment. Why label it Gen NBN? Todd, doesn't that suggest it's not for everyone?
Yeah, well, no. So this is a branding problem, and they have a comprehension issue, because people don't really understand what it is, why we have it, or how it's going to be delivered. So calling it Gen NBN is not meant to be a reference to Gen Y. I mean, they don't watch TV anyway. It's meant to be a reference to generational change in Australia. That's why they launched it on Australia Day. But it sounds good strategically, but it's really confusing because people think it's about a gen group of people, and it's not. It's not demographic. It's meant to be across Australia. Yeah. I mean, that ad is classic government paint by research. So, it's got all the cliches in it, but it's got every other voiceover is gender balance, so male, female, the whole way through. It's got a mix of ethnic representation throughout it. It's got music, it's got a device, and it's boring and a waste of money.
No. It's not boring, right? I'm not saying it's not brilliant. I'm not here to say it's brilliant. And it also isn't typical government advertising, because at least they're spending some money producing something which is trying to have a bigger idea about it. And it's a bigger idea which is really, really important.
Here's an idea. Make the NBN work.
Yeah, okay. So it's in the... Because obviously you can't... Australia's really big, Todd. You can't click your fingers and all of a sudden you've got an NBN. It takes a long time for it to happen. So can we just be a little bit enthusiastic about what this thing can do?
I think we might be overthinking it a little bit, though. I mean, Gen NBN rhymes.
Yeah.
And rhyming is actually one of the best ways to get people to remember brands. Dogs go wacko with schmacko, a Mars a day helps them work out some play. It's how we teach toddlers. And NBN has struggled with their advertising. This is their third go at it. Their first go, which was bringing broadband to life, was so awful that their own research showed it was actually turning people off the NBN. I mean, imagine doing a marketing campaign that's actually working against it.
Well, I mean, Gen NBN rhymes, but also who knows when NBN rhymes.
Sometimes it's useful to spend money on advertising if you need to stimulate demand or whatever that's going to be, and sometimes it's not so useful when the product is seen as a negative thing. And they would be better to take that money from their marketing, and I know they're not spending that much, and put that into the practical implementation side. There's no need to advertise something that's not working.
Yeah.
There's a couple of images in that look like they're cool things, but when you examine them at all, like the holographic referee, is anyone going, oh, I wish there was a holographic referee?
Yeah.
And the other one is that brain surgeon who's working from the country with their kids. I'm sorry, but I want my brain surgeon in the room with me.
It's funny. It's almost like that they've got to the... It's almost like they've got to the benefits before they've actually sold the actual attributes of the NBN.
Moving from the dream to the reality, you need only look at social media to see the NBN in action. Frustrated users have posted videos of modems that can't connect, pixelated screens, workers struggling to lay cable, and sluggish speed tests.
Yeah, it's fabulous, isn't it? Oh, fuck me.
D, if you can't sell the present, do you sell the future?
Well, yeah, what they're trying to do is saying, you trust us. In the future, you're going to need really good internet. And all of Australia is saying, no, right now we do. When you've got the Country Women's Association, campaigning for better internet. It's not because they want to build robots. It's because they want internet that's at least as fast as Kenya, which it currently isn't.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, future advertising is not false advertising. It's like its little brother. Because what you can do is you can make a huge amount of claims that cannot be substantiated for a very long period of time. And in most cases in advertising, you can't do that because the ACCC will be on you and say, well, that's not true. In this case, I mean, launching rockets? You can't get HD Netflix, but we can launch rockets.
In advertising, future tends to be used with the cliche of, the future now. That's how you tend to use future in a communication strategy. And you know what? They've got a rocket at the end of the ads because they have put a satellite up up there. Yeah, so they can say, well, we've got this rocket because we've got satellites going on. So again, I think that the need for attributes, the need for real information, so I can get a hold of the facts and therefore start to really get behind NBN and what it means, because clearly it's really important.
Yes. I mean, the NBN doesn't guarantee that all these great things are going to happen, so it's a clever use of our own imagination as a kind of selling tool.
The glossy Gen NBN ad has been replaced on TV with this.
NBN is building Australia's new broadband access network, but it's your phone and internet provider that will get you set up at home. All you have to do is order a new NBN-powered plan from a phone and internet provider, and they'll manage the installation with NBN directly. If you've got any questions once you're connected, just contact your provider and they'll help you out. Contact a phone or internet provider today.
Quite the line. Contact a phone or internet provider. Essentially, can't someone else do it? Christina, don't contact us a strong message for the brand?
Yeah, it's the wrong kind of strong, baby. Brands always want to have, they want to be your friends, and all of a sudden we're saying push you away. So that's really interesting. Why are they doing this? It is a hot potato, this one. They're trying to deflect responsibility, and there are some things they can't answer. Their call centre is being abused. We know for a fact that, NBN users are 5 times more likely to complain as of July 2017. So it is pretty well much something that they want to disassociate themselves with. And the truth is, there's so many suppliers in the chain, you don't know where that fault line lies. I think it's ironic because when they sell you that future, that big, grandiose, crazy world stuff, and then they're saying, no, but you know what, if you've got any problems, don't contact us. Like, it's a bit disingenuous. It's BS.
Although they're the wholesaler, so you can't contact them anyway. They on-sell their stuff to other people.
Yeah, so this is where it's complicated. Yeah. It's a difficult advertising challenge because for the public to purchase NBN, they've got to go through the intermediary, and just that in itself creates confusion in the mind, because we've heard all about the NBN. It's going to be awesome, but you can't buy it from us. Yeah. It's a really difficult advertising.
You can understand how, as consumers, we might be confused by the fact that you can't get NBN from the NBN, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, the thing is, it's a bit like car dealerships. So the manufacturer of cars can advertise, but they have some control over the dealers and how the cars get sold. NBN advertises, but they have zero control over the internet service providers, and they will do what they want to do.
Although they have some control over the marketing with them, so when the NBN brand is used in conjunction with the internet service provider ads, there are rules and regulations, and also the NBN pay for some of the internet service providers' ads as well.
Its best intent is to democratise access to the internet, city, country, at the cheapest cost, all those kind of things. But it's so bloody confusing that it's anything but empowering. Like, you just can't make sense of it. So you can't. How do I maximise my benefit from it? Kind of goes against the original intent of it.
And in the end, it will all make sense. Because in the end, it'll be throughout Australia, and we all would have connected via our intermediary, and we would have forgotten about NBN. It's just right now, it is a really difficult exercise.
No, it'll still be confusing. It'll be like phone plans. You still can't.
It won't be confusing.
Love the NBN logo. It's just like their internet coverage. Spotty. Also love those blue balls. I assume it's because we've all got blue balls waiting for the NBN. Christina, what do you think of the blue balls?
Look, balls are okay when you use them purposefully, and I think they're used purposefully here. There's a couple of things, like, I guess they feel sciencey, they feel a bit techy, they feel a bit DNA-y, and there's a bit of science behind that. The blue sort of cues calming, intelligent, and then apparently we gravitate as humans to sort of round, sort of organic shapes with curves as opposed to sharp.
But government is a unique beast. We make fun of these balls, but the balls could have got them across the line. Yeah. So what they do when you're pitching for government work is they would get all these ideas. One of them would have been Gen NBN. They will take off anything to do with the advertising agency and they will put it into research. I've never met anyone in government who's made a decision without research. So they will not make a decision. They'll put it into research, and the groups, and what they'll primarily test is message takeout. So they'll show you it in a mix, and then they'll say, after it's all done, they'll say, well, what do you remember? What did you remember seeing? And some people will go, I remember a guy wearing a blue T-shirt, there was a rocket, there was some music, and some balls. And they would have been ding, ding, we got a winner.
You are right, and the unfortunate thing through that process is you might not get the right campaign up. Because for me, this is actually not that hard, because everyone, pretty much everyone, is able to search the internet in order to find out what's going on. What I find amazing is that the NBN advertising isn't just telling me, search, search. You'd be saying it, you'd be channeling David Ogilvy, and you'd be saying, I'm going to say search for it, search for it, search for it, and have an end line around search for it in every single piece of advertising. Then I'll search and I'll find out more. It fascinates me that they've gone higher order expense when really all that's needed is find out more information. It's easy, get online. And of course, most of us are watching television with more than one screen. Yeah? So the immediacy of searching is there to be utilised by NBN.
Right, and if you are watching this show while looking at another screen, fucking stop it. Right here. Yeah. Right here. It's okay, I'll cut that out. Here's another of the recent ads.
Do you need to move to the NBN network? For most people, the answer is yes, if you want to keep your landline phone and internet services. Because to make way for the new network, parts of the existing network are being switched off.
The blue balls are back and now he's grabbing them. Blue Ball Man says our phone and internet is going to get cut off when the NBN is connected. But the NBN is only available to 50% of households. Russell, why sell us something that half of us can't buy?
Because you've got to warm up everyone for the opportunity to buy. And because the thing is, once it is available at your house, you've got 18 months to connect. And if you don't connect, then you're going to be disconnected. So you've got to give people a big runway in order for them to then get the direct mail that says it's available now, for them to then consume the advertising and then get connected. Because there are people that are being disconnected now because they've taken more than 18 months to do nothing.
And this is whether the ad's a little bit boring and generic, but this is a relatively good use of advertising when it comes to the NBN. Because the thing is, NBN doesn't have customers, they've got prisoners, because you do not have an option.
It's also a little bit of bait advertising, which is not uncommon to sell something that's not yet available. It actually makes it more attractive, particularly if some people have it and you don't. Envy drives purchase, and in advertising we call it aspiration, but it's basically envy.
Yeah, but is there a certain limit on aspiration? Because, like, I checked when the NBN is going to be available in my area, and it's midway through 2019. So do I have to keep looking at all these ads, you know, telling me that some people are getting it cut off before that I'm even going to get it off it?
Move to a marginal seat and you'll get it connected.
The big brand ad showed a business in Newtown in Sydney. No NBN there. The other ad showed Surrey Hills Library, a few suburbs away. No NBN there either. D, wouldn't they be better just advertising in local papers to the local area that has the NBN?
Yeah, not many people read local papers anymore. But I'd be advertising on Facebook, A, because you know that the people care about being online, and on Facebook we can now advertise in 5-kilometre radius blocks. That's how micro-targeted it can be. But government advertising isn't necessarily to advertise to what you think would the target market be. Government advertising is always partly to sell the government. And no one's ever got re-elected by hiding their light under a bushel. And when you're in government, it's an opportunity to use taxpayers' money to say how good you are.
They also have had to hide some of the wiring for the NBN under bushels, though.
Yeah. You would definitely use local press, though, but you'd probably be more likely to use it in a public relations sense.
Only to get a good editorial. You put an ad in a local paper only if they'll give you a good editorial.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, the mayor, you know, is there when they dig the first ditch for the NBN that's just arrived. You would be all over local media and you would try and make as big a noise as you possibly can. And that's the appropriate thing to do because you need to communicate to your community that it's available.
Australia is ranked 53rd in the world for internet speeds, behind Trinidad and Tobago, Mongolia, and Reunion, an island in the Indian Ocean I learned about by reading this sentence. It's not hard to find bad press about the NBN, but the ABC must be balanced. So we got the research team to trawl for positive NBN stories. The most positive bit of press we could find was this article in the Gympie Times. Gympie, happy and angry over NBN. Well, I guess that's balance. Oh well, there's probably some really nice comments over on the NBN's Facebook page. What a joke. I had better internet when I was in Afghanistan. We'll be resorting to string and two tin cans for communication. Can I arrange for the technician who installed the NBN to come and take it away? And those are just from people who could still load Facebook. Russell, when your customers aren't happy, what do you do?
I'm increasingly thinking that you have to ignore social media. You know, seriously, because you'll react to here's another negative message, here's another negative message. You're continuously reacting, where really you've just got to, in particular in this case, you've just got to stay true to the course. Now, there is going to be media scrutiny. Why? Because there's billions of taxpayer dollars being spent. So the media is doing the appropriate thing by getting all over the NBN. So the NBN has to do the appropriate thing and spend a shitload on advertising.
The NBN doesn't even have NBN at its own headquarters, but nothing will stop them from pushing out a whole lot of branded content. It ran a virtual yoga class, presumably to calm down all the angry NBN customers. It created a band over Skype and got NRL legend Brad Fittler to Skype a primary school. So they've mastered Skype. Welcome to 2003. Dee, will any of this convince the public that the NBN isn't a dud?
Look, one of these videos had a 415 people who viewed it. The other one, 126. Now, minus all the Gruen people and the people who made it, you're probably in double digits for content that would have cost them tens of thousands of dollars. It's this thing now. You do a brand campaign and then like, oh, we need to do online videos as well. Content is king. Good content is king, shit content is shit. 6,000 hours worth of YouTube videos are uploaded every 60 seconds. You're competing against porn and lolcats. Load something like this and people don't watch it. One of these is to say that you can do yoga in your house. In Australia, we had Swami in the 1970s who told us that.
It is one of the great marketing heists right now. Yeah, the idea that the marketers are in the content business and because it can be uploaded, it doesn't cost me any money. It will cost me production money, but I don't have to pay to get the audience because I'm making something so amazing that the public are going to share it. Well, why would you share it? What's in it for me to share some story that NBN... It's myopic and crazy.
So no matter what NBN does, it's an experiential brand and people are going to give it a go, and if it's slow, they're going to slam it in all mediums possible until they get the tech right. It's not an advertising problem, it's a tech problem.
No, they have to do both. They've got to keep investing, obviously, in the build, and they absolutely have to be relentless around the communication. They're probably not spending enough.
Welcome back.
Back when Malcolm Turnbull was selling the Coalition's NBN, you couldn't shut him up about it.
Sooner, cheaper and more affordably.
Later, more expensive and more expensively. We looked at Malcolm Turnbull's statements in the press. He hasn't mentioned the NBN for 2 months. Todd, could he still spin this story?
I don't think he will spin it. If it's successful, he will use it, because government advertising, whichever way you cut it, is a form of controlled propaganda for the government. It's a message they can put out to control the message around them, right? So that's the one thing. And the other thing is Malcolm does not want this as an issue going into the election. So part of the reason we're seeing the work now and the speed that's going into it and all the energy and resources, he can't have this hanging over him. He's going to have enough hanging over him.
Yeah,
so I don't think he's going to spin it, but he will use it if he can get a lot of progress.
But in an advertising context, the government they've got no power over the ad budget of NBN. You know, the NBN is its own entity, and they make their own choices about what money they're going to spend.
Although their agreement with the government was that they did have to advertise very heavily.
Well, of course they have to advertise. They've got to tell the public what's going on.
But, right? Russell, like, believing that the government has no influence over NBN...
No, NBN is its own entity, yeah? And, yeah, it's not about Malcolm doesn't ring up the CEO and say, hey, listen, what about spending another 50 mil? That's not going to be happening.
No, but Russell, NBN is a political... is a political program. They will choose when and when not to use the advertising as it gets close to the election.
All right, OK, it's turned into Q&A. Let's move on. 2 years ago, the NBN did actually make one ad, which turned out to be weirdly prophetic.
Mom, Johnny caught internet.
Guys, can you get off the internet? Zoe needs to do her homework.
No, you get off.
It's not working. Eyeballs. Hey, Dad.
Brian? If your internet slows down when everyone's online...
Oh, look at your face.
Then choose a high-speed plan over the NBN network that suits your needs. Contact a phone or internet provider.
Fun, and here 2 years ago. That ad is everything the NBN hasn't been. Christina, what would you do to turn around the Australian public?
Holy crap. Well, I probably wouldn't advertise a charmless future, and I really like what they did there. Like, I know it's sort of showcasing the problem, but it's the truth, and I love it. I'd actually hand it over to the kids. I mean, they're basically tech support in the household. So it's like kid to kid, parents go out of the room, we're going to sort out NBN. Or I'd maybe tackle the abuse that, you know, your TV screen or your computer or your iPad cops when you're waiting more than 3 seconds for something to download, and talk about load rage or something like that. Like just a real truth that you can connect to in terms of, I guess, all the issues that we face with substandard, you know, broadband these days. What about you guys?
Wow, you just pumped out a load of ideas there.
It's good, wasn't it?
I know. We're only going to leave one in the show, and I'm going to sell the other two to NBN. Here on Gruen. Maybe things wouldn't be so bad for the NBN with a little more truth in advertising, which is why we've put together a new ad for them. Well, newish.
We're leaving our generation to join one that's moving us forward.
Where knowledge isn't limited by time or space.
And anyone can change the world from anywhere.
A new generation, where it's easy to pass on our skills.
Where our crazy ideas become crazy reality.
It's time for a new generation. It's time for Gen NBN.
Now the pitch where advertising agencies sell the unsellable. Checking the news every morning to see if nuclear war has broken out is the new bowl of Weet-Bix. But there's not much we can do to stop North Korea. So we've asked our agencies to persuade Kim Jong-un to aim somewhere else and avoid Australia entirely. Can they do it, or at least can they briefly entertain us before we die? Please welcome from TKT, Nick Alcock, and from Loud, Wally DeSuncio. Nick, how'd you nuke this brief?
Well, I don't know if you know, but nukes are actually really, really expensive. So for us, it was really a matter of economics. We didn't want Kim Jong-un to waste them on Australia.
Let's have a look.
This is Ken. Like most Australians, Ken is surrounded by space. Lots and lots of it. There's not another person for miles. Now, if you were spending $50 million on an intercontinental nuclear missile, would you waste it on 0.3 Kens per square kilometre? Or 133 Kens per square kilometre? Indonesia. Get more bang for your buck.
Wally, where did you take aim?
We found some common ground, actually, between both nations, and we hope that it will be enough to convince Kim to aim at somewhere else, because actually he's got a neighbour that's actually an ally.
Oh, let's have a look.
We monitor our media, just like you do.
I think the ABC was guilty.
The government will be watching you.
We control how people live, just like you do.
Marriage equality has been roundly defeated in the federal parliament.
We secure our borders, just like you do.
Our border protection policy is to stop the boats.
And we know that sometimes people need to be shown rather than told, just like you do. Down south, we're a little bit north too. Australia, the ally you never knew you had. A message from the Society for Peace in Australia.
Good job. The nice thing is I'm going to answer a lot of complaints about both of those. So, Russell, which one did you prefer?
Well, I loved Bang for Your Buck when I saw it, but number 2, it really did, well, it hit me where it hurt.
Dee?
I'm going to go with number 1. It used the classic social marketing strategy. Use a carrot and a stick. The carrot being, you know, we'll get more Kens in this place. The stick mean you'll waste it, you know, you'll waste it on just 0.3 of a Ken. It's a very classic marketing strategy.
Christina?
I can't. Yeah, look, I'm for Ken as well, number 1.
And Todd?
I would definitely go with We're Not Worthy of Your Nukes, number 1.
All right, seems like number 1 is the winner. Congratulations! There you go. Get a trophy. If hipsters are all about trends, then the latest advertising trend is hipster hate. Carlton Dry has been hipster bashing.
Meanwhile, at the Carlton Dry Under Think Tank.
You're looking at a drinks menu that's as long as the Nile, and that hipster bartender keeps giving you the stink eye.
ANZ is on the bashing bandwagon.
Won't let me pay.
It's on the side.
Oh.
And then there's the latest campaign from Hungry Jacks.
Bacon burger, kale smoothie, namaste.
Hello? Look at the plate in front of you. Are you seriously going to eat that? You're not like them, are you, Patrick? You crave something more, something substantial. You need to keep it real now. Run. Run like the wind, be free. So close, yet so far. Run, busy little feet. Congratulations, Patrick. You made it.
Welcome to Hungry Jacks.
Can I get a bowl of bacon in it, thanks?
Hungry Jacks.
Patrick is such an independent thinker, he does whatever a random voice on the phone tells him to do. Brands used to tell us what to love. Now they're telling us who to hate. Russell, who is this ad aimed at?
Well, it's aimed at people that are, you know, sick of fake. Yeah, so sick of the idea that there's a plate of food with only, you know, small, it's like fashion food, the fixed wheelie, yes, the hipsters with their over-the-top beards, people that do upside-down yoga, which I think is actually one of the great TV frames for the last 10 years. That shot, when he runs through the people that are hanging upside down on the rope and spinning around, completely crazy, absolutely love it. And the idea that it comes through the burger phone, so that's obviously the conscience, like, oh, come on, you don't need to do this, which, of course, we've all been in that situation. Oh, God, I love a burger, right? Why am I doing this stuff? It is... Right? This is really good advertising. And the other thing about it, just let's think this through. How many ads in Australia right now are funny? How many ads are having some fun, taking the piss, enjoying the fact that they can take the piss? It's like, God almighty, thank God someone is putting some comedy on air.
Yeah. No, I actually agree with Russell on this. I really like this. And I like it for a number of reasons. I love the reverse psychology of it all because no one hates hipsters as much as hipsters. So hipsters don't self-identify as hipsters. So they would look at that ad and go, I'm not that guy, you know, and they would actually find it quite cool. And they don't have TVs. But I like it because it's sending up the whole thing. And when you have a target that's as easy as the hipsters and you're doing it in such jest, you're not really alienating or isolating that market. In a way, you're kind of jokingly celebrating them.
And also, I mean, this is an industry. I think there's this myth that it's sort of, you know, people aren't going to fast food, they're all eating healthy now. It's a $6.6 billion industry in Australia. There are 29,000 fast food outlets. So they've got a massive, massive target market out there.
Hipsters are so maligned, they're the new dumb dads and dickhead boyfriends of the advertising world. Christina, how do you decide as an industry on a hate group?
I think hate's a pretty strong word. I sort of more like to think that we just call BS where we need to call BS. And I sort of see it as more of a public and social service that we're doing. And usually what's happening...
Yeah. Oh, my God, everyone's turned into Russell!
No, please. No, I love you, Russell, but I'm not sure I can cope with that comment. And I think... with hipsterism, it's kind of there for the taking when you're paying $20 for a jar of pickled chocos and paying fine dining prices for war food like corned beef while sitting on your, you know, milk crate and drinking out of a mason jar. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so inconsistent.
But really, what they're trying to do is make fun of healthy people, but you can't. Because then you're literally admitting your food's not healthy. So in a sense, they've taken the extremes of the healthy. But that's what they're essentially doing. They're healthy. Ooh, aren't they silly? And we're not.
It's not so much, though, that it's the hate group as a consumer. Hungry Jacks are competing in the fast food environment, and the people that they hate, in a competitive sense, are Maccas. And part of what's going on in this advertising is it's a bit of a, you know what, we're not like Maccas, because Maccas is increasingly turning into the clean cafe with the gourmet burger. So it's a very interesting, I think, competitive move.
It's not hate, it's targeting. And it's also... that's normally done by research. And the two, if you're going to isolate a group and put them out there and make fun of them, there's generally two. First, you don't want to create the hate. You just want to fuel it. It's someone else's great. And hipsters are perfect because there's a whole global movement. I felt really bad because the guy who put my sound on looked like a hipster. I felt really, but anyway, park that. So that you don't want to. I know I feel really. But anyway, you don't want to create the hate because brands that create hate, it's bad, and you don't want to do that. So they're not doing that. They're not creating hate. No. So they're. I mean, he's a hipster.
I don't think he's a hipster. He would have used a gramophone or something.
Russell's right. They're competing against themselves for their own sort of target market. So people eat at... people who eat junk food, 40% of them just go between two brands. And Macca's is first, then Subway, then KFC, then Hungry Jack's. So really what Hungry Jack's is doing is just competing within that four to try to get themselves
But
up.
I think, Dee, that industry subdivided itself and the hipster effect has impacted it. So I think it's now subdivided into two major groups. So you got the big box fast food, which are the Macca's, KFC and Hungry Jack's, and then you got the more hipster, like the Grilled or the Mad Pizza. And I think what Hungry Jack's is doing is saying, we're not them, and we don't want to be them, and therefore we're better. Like, they're appealing to a mindset. So if you play the odds, you go, more people want to be about keeping it real and about substance than hipsters. So they're really playing to a much broader mindset rather than a demographic.
I'm excited about what's going to happen to the burger phone.
Yeah.
You'd have to think that burger phone's going to reappear.
Well, it's interesting that it rings at the end of the ad because he's still only halfway through his burger.
Right. And
like, what else are they going to say? Oh, you're at the wrong place. Go to McDonald's.
Remember the Warnie doll? Yeah. So there was the Warnie doll became an iconic. It was bigger than the piece of advertising that it existed in. And the idea that the burger phone is it's like your conscience say, come on, you don't want to be like these people. There's a really, really strong campaign idea in that. I think we're going to see some great burger phone ads. I hope we do.
No one has landlines anymore. Yeah, what would you have it in your wallet? You put your burger phone.
No, it'd just be a bit of fun, wouldn't it? So the other thing that's interesting is Hungry Jack's has never been a big spender when it comes to production. Yeah, so basically they've just been, it's almost like a factory line. Here's the burger, here's the bacon, like it's manufacturing a burger on air. All of a sudden, they're spending some serious production money. And that's a big leap to take. So we all have to, everyone, cross your fingers that this is working its arse off, because I want to see more of them.
The ad says there are no kale smoothies, but Hungry Jack's has served up brioche buns and pulled chicken and beef sliders. Just 6 weeks ago, it put a burger on a chopping board and called it Insta-worthy.
So deliciously Insta-worthy.
And the agency which made the ad we just showed refers to it as a launch film. OK, Scorsese. Todd, isn't this campaign just a slight bit hypocritical?
It's not hypocrisy, it's advertising. I think they launched this to create a broad platform. So Keep It Real, or We're About Substance, is broad enough to incorporate anything. So they could do these fancy burgers, they could even introduce kale, but the advertising tone and manner in which they do it could be about keeping it real. So I don't think that... I think they've used this, you know, as Russell said, a big brand idea, which they normally don't do. They do 100 ads a year. Most of them are just retail, sell, sell, sell. This is one of the few times they've done a proper brand idea, and they've done it to correspond with new uniforms, changes in the restaurants, so they wrapped everything up into one big promotion to the market.
You also have to pay you've got to play the Insta game, you know, in the food business. So I don't know, some ridiculous amount of, you know, pictures of food are uploaded every day, 130,000 or something. So you actually, if you're in the food business, you sort of got to participate. So that's what those pictures are about.
Yeah, I reckon one person's version of hypocrisy is just Adland's version of irony. And so I guess with Hungry Jack's using Instaporn, food Instaporn, it's just got a heavy dose of irony there, OK? Because it's sort of taking the piss out of the medium, but using it at the same time. So you're almost making two for the price of one. You can get away with it.
Hipsters are inner city middle-class people with disposable incomes. Russell, can any brand afford to piss them off?
I don't think they'll be pissed off. I think they'll enjoy it. They may not even see themselves in it. They'll just laugh along with, you know, everyone else. You know, in the end, Hungry Jack's is everywhere. It's on, you know, pretty much every main high street. They have to appeal to every single person that they possibly can, like all of Australia. And what better way to do it than to make people laugh?
Yeah, I mean, first, they don't watch TV, so they'll miss the ad. But even if they did, the best way to get a hipster to come to Hungry Jack's is tell them not to go to Hungry Jack's.
Hipsters are about authenticity. Fast food is the nutritional equivalent of fake news. Christina, can a fast food chain claim to be keeping it real?
You know, I like the keeping it real strategy. I've probably tried it about 1,000 times. I've seen it 1,000 times. And I think in Australia, you know, because we have a hate of pretension, there's always something you can call BS on. And I think it's OK for HJs to do this. You know, it's about an attitude. It isn't about everything being real. It's unapologetically a burger. Let the burger be a burger. And that's what I like about it, instead of how very unmackers and gourmet. Like, it is just what it is.
Earlier in the year, KFC in the UK took a swipe at hipsters too.
I've got here this Scandinavian serving board. Now, usually with my serving boards, I like to get my Norwegian wood from Finland, but as long as it's from somewhere in Scandinavia, it should be fine. Cauliflower bun, raw baby kale, spiralised chicken, ice relish, unsweetened almond yoghurt, and to top it off, everyday, all-natural Guatemalan milled chia seeds. And voila, there you have it. The KFC clean...
Nothing satisfies like the dirty Louisiana. It's finger-licking good.
If the burgers don't kill you, we will. That's just about all for tonight. Please thank our panel, Russell, Dee, Christina and Todd. Every year on Gruen, we embark on a quest. This year, we're cracking open the vaults with a new segment called Ads You Couldn't Make in 2017. Wonder what that segment will be about. Yeah. We're going to go back in time and look at ads you shouldn't, wouldn't and hopefully couldn't make today. If you think Australia's progress is slow, this scenic trip through advertising's past might remind us of how far we've come. We'll kick off with an early 90s commercial from stocking brand Razzmatazz, a company that still exists today but is wise enough to sell itself with a lot less upskirting. We'll see you next week.